Hey guys, Mike here. So today I'm here to talk to you about 1960s Psycho, starring Janet Leigh as Marion Crane and Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates. In Psycho, a secretary steals $40,000 from her employer's client, runs away, and stays in a remote motel run by Norman Bates, who is under the control of his dominating mother. And so we have Psycho. So guys, today's review was requested by no one. This is one I just wanted to watch because I'm trying to get in quite a few horror movies as it is October, and this is one that I honestly hadn't seen before, and I figured what better time to watch Psycho than now. So what do I think of Psycho? Well, first of all, the performances. Now obviously these performances aren't bad, it's just they're very of their time, because to my knowledge when this movie was made, it came before modern method acting really started to kick in, before performances felt really natural as opposed to just acting, if that makes any sense. So again, while none of the performances are bad, it's just they're very of their time. The only performance I would say is kind of bad in this film is the psychiatrist towards the end of the film, who honestly, when he started talking, I just found myself laughing because he felt a lot more like a caricature than an actual character. He really spoke and moved very much like he was in a stage play. But I would say there were definitely some positives in doing the performance this way because he is conveying a lot of important information. So obviously, this information really needs to be taken in by the audience, even though the movie itself is really good and the audience should definitely be paying attention anyway. But this performance is so like bullet pointy, so sharp and to the point, that it really makes you take in all the information. So while I don't think that performance was very good, it was very purposeful. But obviously, the best performance in the movie is Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates. A very, very iconic performance. Though again, he does act in the same style as everyone else in the movie, he just has this odd way of standing out because he just gives this very intense and focused performance, where even though up to the point, he doesn't give you really much of a reason to kind of distrust him or feel unsafe around him. It's just, as you peel back the layers of this character, as Janet Leigh's character's talking to him a bit more, you're getting a bit more into his psyche and you're seeing that this guy isn't what he seems to be. I would say that Psycho is at its best whenever he's on screen. And I would say the cinematography is just excellent in this film because normally in modern horror movies, because of the way the movie's framed, you can just tell what's going to happen. Like if the camera's panned a certain way, you know that in this empty space something is going to appear. But because of the angles in which Psycho is filmed, you just don't know really what's going to happen, and it makes it feel like anything could happen because you get these neutral, seemingly uninteresting shots where you think, alright, this is just a shot to show that the character is moving from one place to another, and then all of a sudden just something just comes out from nowhere, and it really adds to the shock value. But at the same time, Psycho still does contain these kind of shots where you can tell something is going to come from a certain direction. But as well, another thing that elevates this movie is the score. It's very loud, sharp, to the point, and it really creates the horrific atmosphere that this movie's trying to go for. And as well, when the score kind of kicks in, it's not really eased in, it makes it feel like it's an attack on your senses. So it comes very close to putting you in the same panicked feel as the victims. And the twist that comes in this movie is still excellent, one of the best movie twists ever. The only problem was that I knew what it was before watching the movie, which I feel did take a lot of steam out of the engine. Honestly, I wish that I knew absolutely nothing about this movie going into it. Because honestly, knowing the ending did ruin the experience just a little bit. Because Psycho is trying to go for a lot of misdirection, and then when the actual twist happens, it's just so shocking. But when you know what the ending is, it's not really all that shocking. Again, obviously, that's not the movie's fault, that's more my fault. It's just, it did affect my viewing experience. And as well, this movie is just brilliantly paced as well, because Psycho is nearly 2 hours long, and it hardly feels like it, because every single scene in this movie is important, it moves fast, it reveals a lot of information about characters, settings, and the actual mystery itself, that it just makes the whole thing just run by very smoothly. And then you've got one of, if not the most famous scene from the movie, the shower stabbing scene. Now, I would say I was kind of mixed on this scene, not from the way it's presented, because it is presented really well, it comes out of nowhere, it's an absolute shock. The fact that, spoiler, they would kill off the main character of the movie just before the halfway mark is just incredible. And the fact they managed to keep the story going even without their main character is just incredible. But I would say that my issue is, because this scene's been parodied so many times over the years, that when it comes to actually watching the actual scene in the actual movie, it kind of felt like just another parody. But again, that's not the movie's fault, that's more pop culture's fault. But even without pop culture, this is still an incredible scene. and it definitely earns its iconic status. Overall, guys, you cannot question what an absolute classic Psycho is. It's got fantastic but slightly dated acting, it's shot brilliantly, the score is incredible, and even knowing the ending going into it doesn't ruin the experience that much that I would say it's not worth watching the movie if you know the ending. But do I think you guys should watch this one? Absolutely. If you haven't seen Psycho already, then you need to check this film out. I would mainly say because it's a piece of history. It's worth seeing because you need to see how modern movies are influenced by this one. But I would say watch it as well because this was just an enjoyable film. I wouldn't say that it's one of the greatest movies ever made in my personal opinion, but from more of a general consensus, I can see why so many people say that this movie is as great as it is, because it is definitely as great as it is. It's just my personal preference. I wouldn't put it in like my top 100 movies. Okay guys, that's my review of Psycho. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think I should watch next? Whatever it is, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya.